Welcome back to Applied Physics Lecture Series, Unit 2, Semiconductor Physics, Lecture 8, Operation of PN junction diode and Zener diode and their IV characteristics. In the previous class or in the previous lecture, we discussed about the operation of PN junction diode under different bias conditions. One is unbiased circuit. Second, unbiased circuit means there is no connection of external battery or source. That means junction is not connected to any voltage source. Then, if you operate the PN junction diode under forward bias circuit, the positive terminal of the source is connected to the P region and a negative terminal is connected to the N region. The junction is said to be in forward biased. And if you consider the reverse biased circuit, the positive terminal of the source is connected to the N region and a negative terminal is connected to the P region. Then the junction is said to be in reverse biased. And these are the three schematic representations of unbiased, forward bias, and reverse bias conditions. And if you consider the IV characteristics of this PN junction diode, a graph that shows the variation of current in a device with variation of voltage applied across it is called IV characteristics. The IV characteristics of a PN junction is non-linear. The PN junction acts as a closed switch in forward bias condition, allowing range of current to flow through it, and acts as open switch if it is operated in the reverse bias condition, causing very small amount of current flow through it. And this is the graph which is showing the IV characteristics of a PN junction diode. On the right hand side portion, that is the forward characteristics, forward bias characteristics, and on the left hand side, reverse bias characteristics. And I will explain all this in detail. So when you operate the PN junction diode in the forward bias condition, as long as the forward bias voltage it is less than the voltage applied across the potential barrier, the current through the junction is negligibly small. That means the forward voltage is less than the barrier potential voltage, so current flowing through the circuit is almost negligible. The voltage at which current increases sharply is called as cut-in voltage or knee voltage. That means in order to allow the passage of current, we have to increase the forward voltage continuously, and at one stage, the forward voltage is more than the potential barrier voltage. At this stage, current begins to flow, and that corresponding voltage will be called as a cut-in voltage or knee voltage, and very sharply, very exponentially, the value of current will be raises. So such a voltage is called as a cut-in voltage or knee voltage. As the forward voltage increases beyond the potential barrier voltage, there is an exponential increase in the forward current. So that's why the current will be usually measured in terms of milliamperes. If we consider germanium, so the knee voltage is 0.3 volts, and for silicon it is 0.7 volts. And if you operate the PN junction under reverse bias condition, a small reverse current, which is usually measured in terms of microamperes, flows across the junction due to the minority charge carriers. Why? Because when the reverse voltage is applied, it breaks the covalent bonds in the crystal and large number of charge carriers are produced. Thus, the current suddenly rises in the reverse direction. The reverse voltage at which diode breaks down is called as breakdown voltage or Zener voltage. The diode breakdown may be due to avalanche breakdown or due to Zener breakdown. Avalanche breakdown occurs in diodes which are lightly doped, but Zener breakdown occurs in diodes which are very thin and those are heavily doped. Then what is this Zener diode? So basically, if you want to know the basic function of this Zener diode, there is no much difference between PN junction diode and Zener diode. But we have to operate PN junction diode always in the reverse bias condition. As a result, we are getting the Zener diode. So if we want to define exactly what is meant by Zener diode is a semiconductor diode specially designed to operate in the breakdown region of the reverse bias. Zener diodes are always operated in the reverse bias condition. This is very mandatory requirement. The breakdown phenomena is reversible and it is harmless. And this graph shows the IV characteristics in the operation of Zener diode, and especially you have to note down only the reverse bias characteristics. So that is in the left hand side portion of the graph. Zener diode acts similar to the ordinary diode under forward bias condition. There is no much difference between PN junction diode and Zener diode. Both are operated in the forward bias. Why? Because both are giving maximum amount of current at one particular value of voltage already known to us, cut-in voltage or knee voltage. But in reverse bias condition, as the reverse voltage is increased, a small amount of current is called leakage current flows. Leakage current is due to the majority charge carriers. Simply whether it may be a Zener diode or a PN junction diode, if you operate them in the reverse bias condition, the charge carriers are moving away from the junction As a result, the width of the depletion region is usually increases. If the reverse voltage is more than the potential barrier voltage, so depletion region width is continuously increases. At one stage, junction will be breakdown. But if you operate them in the reverse bias, for the minority charge carriers, that reverse bias itself becomes a forward bias. That's why small amount of current will be flown. Such a current will be called as either leakage current or reverse current or dark current. So the current which is flown in the circuit due to minority charge carriers called as leakage current. At a particular value of reverse voltage, the current increases suddenly. This voltage is called as breakdown voltage or Zener voltage. Usually it is represented with VZ. In ordinary diodes, the breakdown voltage is very, very high. And if reverse current is allowed to flow, then the diode will be damaged and it is not further reusable. But if Zener diodes are designed to operate in such a way that so the Zener voltage value is very, very low, it is in the order of 2.4 volts. That's why there is no harm to the circuit and you can able to use the Zener diodes again and again. When reverse voltage above the Zener voltage is applied to the Zener diode, there is a controlled breakdown which does not damage the diode. That's why reusable is possible. In the Zener region, the voltage across the Zener diode remains constant, but the current changes depending upon the supply voltage. If you vary the supply voltage, so the voltage across the Zener diode remains constant, but current will be changed with reference to the supply voltage. The location of the Zener region can be controlled by varying the doping levels. That means at which stage, at which particular voltage, at which particular Zener voltage you would like to notice breakdown, that will be controlled by varying the dopants. So doping concentration is less, we will get less value of Zener voltage, as a result breakdown quickly. So doping concentration is a little bit more, so the Zener voltage will be increased, therefore breakdown will be takes place little bit extended. So an increase in doping will decrease the Zener potential. Thanks for watching.